This guy has to figure out who built the cube and why, otherwise, humanity will perish, and his loved ones will be caught in a brutal fight for survival and power. A mysterious global blackout in 2029 plunged the world into decades of chaos and anarchy. Old nations vanished, giving rise to countless microstates with their own customs and cultures. These are known as the tribes. Europe, 2074. The continent is now home to hundreds of tribes, most of which avoid any contact with outsiders. Some feud and wage war, but the majority choose isolation, living as if no one else exists. The Origine tribe is one of the most peaceful. They live in harmony with nature and believe they are a part of the forest, protected by it from all threats. Liv is a strong young woman with two brothers, Keanu and Elia. The brothers often clash. Keanu is a warrior with a girlfriend and dreams of leaving to explore new lands, while Elia is a curious dreamer, obsessed with learning the truth behind the catastrophe and what really happened during the so-called Black December of 2029. While hunting a wolf, the trio lands a kill, until Liv hears a strange noise and tells her brothers to be quiet. Moments later, they spot a burning aircraft streaking across the sky. Panic sets in as the plane crashes into the nearby forest. Keanu, always fascinated by other tribes' technology, wants to investigate, but Liv refuses. She believes their tribe must stay out of foreign matters, as their late mother, the tribe's founder, once taught. Back home, they report the incident to their father. Liv suggests they send a group to check on the crash, possibly to help any survivors. But Jacob, their father, and his advisor Mark reject the idea. They've always stayed out of other people's problems. Meanwhile, in the Raven tribe, Lady Varvara reports to her leader, Captain Yavar. She explains that her forces took down the aircraft and will now try to track it to seize its valuable cargo, flown in by an Atlantean pilot. Yavar is furious, having lost 10 slaves, and threatens to execute her superior. Varvara knows she'll be promoted if she succeeds quickly. That evening, Ilya undergoes his initiation, officially becoming an adult member of the tribe. At the same time, Keanu is with his girlfriend, promising to leave soon to join a more advanced and powerful tribe. Liv once again asks her father to investigate the crash, especially since it happened on their territory. Though afraid, he agrees and gathers a team to head out at dawn. At sunrise, the group enters the forest and finds the Atlantean aircraft, but it's empty. The pilot either ejected or escaped. Ilya discovers a strange glowing cube and secretly keeps it, telling no one. Jacob and Mark decide to visit a neighboring tribe to warn them of the possible threat. Meanwhile, Ilya, Keanu, and Liv head back home, but along the way, Ilya breaks off to hide the cube in a ruined house. This abandoned place is his secret hideout, where he collects posters and relics from the old world. There, he finds the wounded pilot, barely clinging to life. Knowing he won't survive without help, Ilya rushes back to the village for bandages and medicine. On his way back, he runs into Keanu and Liv. The three return together and realize the pilot won't make it unless they bring him to the village. Upon entering the neighboring tribe's territory, Jacob and Mark proceed with extreme caution. The village seems abandoned, but there are signs of struggle, bloodstains, overturned dishes. Something terrible happened here. As they step into the courtyard, the full horror reveals itself: hundreds of corpses, brutally slaughtered. It looks like the place was attacked by savages, devoid of reason or mercy. Among the dead, they find a wounded soldier bleeding out. With his last strength, he tells them the attackers were from the Raven tribe. They're hunting the pilot, and anyone who might be hiding him. Realizing their own people could be in danger, Jacob and Mark rush back to their village. There, they learn that Ilya, Liv, and Keanu have already brought the pilot in. Jacob insists they get rid of him immediately, but Ilya refuses to listen. He tries to speak with the man to understand the true nature and purpose of the glowing cube. The pilot claims the cube holds immense power, possibly the key to saving humanity, but how it works or what exactly it does remains a mystery. Jacob places guards at the perimeter and tells everyone to prepare for battle. He knows it's only a matter of time before enemies arrive. And he's right. Within minutes, the Ravens appear atop the cliffs. They don't negotiate. They don't make demands. They don't offer compromises. They behead one of the guards and begin inhaling a special oxygen mix that makes them stronger and more aggressive. Jacob attempts to reason with them, but Lady Varvara hurls a sword straight into the neck of the woman beside him. All hell breaks loose. The Ravens unleash a merciless massacre. They kill anyone in their path: elders, women, even children. Their only objective: capture the pilot and seize the cube. Realizing this, the pilot reprograms the cube to respond only to Ilya's retinal scan. With his final breath, he tells the boy to run, fast. As Ilya flees into the forest with the cube, the Ravens leave only a few survivors behind, including Jacob and Keanu. That evening, they interrogate the captives, trying to find out where the boy went. Anyone who stays silent is executed. Mark tries to respond with defiance, refusing to show fear, but Lady Varvara is merciless. Enraged, she publicly humiliates him, then has him executed in front of the others. With multiple goals in mind, Varvara orders her forces to split up. One group will hunt down Ilya, while the others will escort the surviving villagers back to Raven territory, to become slaves at a toxic factory. At dawn, Liv regains consciousness. Jacob and Keanu had assumed she was dead, but somehow, she managed to survive despite a serious injury. Struggling to climb out of the ravine, she makes her way back to the village, only to find hundreds of corpses. Almost the entire tribe has been wiped out, except for a few people who were taken in an unknown direction. Spotting a hunter from the Raven tribe nearby, Liv waits for the right moment and ambushes her. She wounds the woman with her crossbow and pulls out a knife, threatening to kill her. The hunter is ready to die, anything to avoid falling into the hands of the surrounding soldiers. Suddenly, Commander David distracts Liv for a split second, just enough time for his aide to sneak up behind her and knock her out with the butt of a rifle. Meanwhile, Ilya tries to use the cube to guide him, but it's broken, and he has no idea how to fix it. Hoping to find help, he heads toward the nearby lands where Jacob and Mark had previously gone. There, he finds the same carnage, bodies and blood smeared on the walls, and realizes there's no one left to help him. Then, he hears someone approaching and tries to hide, but a man armed with a weapon spots him. His name is Moses, a skilled technician who claims he can fix anything. When he sees the cube, Moses is stunned. He offers to repair it if Ilya brings him a set of tools from a red toolbox. But as soon as Ilya steps into the next room, Moses jumps into his truck and drives off. Crushed and unsure where to turn next, Ilya is suddenly attacked by a Raven tribe hunter. Holding a blade to his throat, the hunter accuses him of stealing the cube and prepares to execute him. Just when it seems like the end, Moses returns out of nowhere and kills the attacker. As more ravens close in, Moses urges Ilya to jump into the truck. After escaping the ambush, Moses returns the cube and makes a proposition. He'll protect Ilya from danger, and once the cube is fixed, they'll sell it and split the profits 50-50. Ilya is completely against the idea and threatens to go it alone, but that would be foolish and suicidal. He's in hostile territory, surrounded by tribes that would tear him apart without hesitation. Realizing he won't survive an hour on his own, Ilya reluctantly agrees to the partnership, and the two set off to find someone who can repair the cube. Meanwhile, Liv wakes up at a secured military base. As it turns out, David and the other soldiers are part of a militant tribe that works for different groups with one shared goal: survival. They protect and patrol the lands, keeping weaker tribes safe from more powerful ones. They saved Liv's life and performed surgery to stop her from bleeding out. When Liv learns that her family members were taken to the capital of the Raven tribe, she becomes determined to infiltrate it. But the soldiers think it's a suicide mission. The capital is a fortress in the center of what used to be Berlin, guarded by hundreds of warriors. Even this doesn't scare Liv. She's ready to risk everything to save her father and brother. Recognizing her determination, David allows her to interrogate the captured Raven tribe hunter. The hunter had been silent and ignored the soldiers, but with Liv, she chooses to be honest, trusting her sincerity. She reveals that Jacob and Keanu were sent to a poisonous production facility to become slaves. In those conditions, no slave survives longer than 3 months, but the hunter is willing to help Liv infiltrate the Raven capital in exchange for her life. Liv knows she can trust the hunter. In the Raven tribe, a promise must be kept at any cost. Upon arriving in Berlin, Jacob and Keanu are separated. Jacob is sent to the factory with the other slaves and sees the emaciated, dead bodies of those who came before him. His father, meanwhile, is taken to Captain Yavar for a private meeting. Later, Liv admits to David that she's pursuing her own goals. He doesn't have to fully trust her, but they can work together. Her mission is simple: save her family, but she will also help anyone around her. Liv, Ilya, and Keanu hold on to the hope that they can become a family again. The mark on their arms only strengthens their resolve to fight and survive. Setting out on a dangerous journey across Europe, Ilya asks Moses to tell him what happened in 2029. As everyone knows, just before the new year, electricity vanished, and all gadgets stopped working. In an instant, the world was thrown back into the Middle Ages, except for the Atlanteans, who mysteriously preserved most of their technology. They have airplanes and advanced weaponry, yet no one knows who they are or where they came from. Tribes suspect they might not even be human, as they hide exceptionally well and possess technology that seems otherworldly. Legend has it that the Atlanteans have an Ark, an incredible vessel capable of saving humanity and rebuilding civilization from scratch. Later, Moses and Ilya stop in a forest to set up camp. Moses shares not only stories of the past but also plans for the future. In Europe, there's a Northern Alliance, where casinos and bars still operate. Hoping to sell a precious cube, he dreams of escaping there to live comfortably for the rest of his life. A few hours later, they arrive at the home of Amina, an exceptional technician and mechanic who can fix any machine. Seeing the cube, she's shocked, realizing it contains technology so advanced its value is unimaginable. She repairs it but can't tell if it's working. Then Ilya scans her retina, and something strange begins to happen. They witness mysterious, alien-like images and unfamiliar terrain, hinting that they may have discovered a place of refuge. Meanwhile, Liv continues growing closer to the leader of a militarized tribe. David trusts her and wants her to get the captive, Grieta, to talk, as Liv is the only one Grieta communicates with. Liv agrees to meet her, but Grieta demands an escape plan first, otherwise, she won't reveal how to safely infiltrate the Raven tribe's fortress. Liv promises to join the military and become head of security to help Grieta escape. Grieta doubts it's possible but agrees to cooperate if Liv succeeds. Later, Liv explains everything to David. She suggests organizing a carefully controlled escape. Once Grieta leaves the prison, she would believe she's free and share all her knowledge, after which she would be recaptured, allowing the team to use her information to storm the enemy tribe's fortress. David considers the plan too risky and refuses, fearing the loss of their most important captive. A squad of soldiers heads into the forest but finds no airplane. They discover the pilot's body, but the mysterious cube is missing, leaving David and his army at a dead end. Liv is forced to meet Grieta again, pretending to be the acting head of security, but the captive doesn't trust her and attacks, threatening her life. Liv then urges David to act quickly, but he refuses to risk his men for the girl's family. The commander offers Liv a chance to join their tribe so she can one day defeat the Ravens, but she can't wait, her family has only a few months left. Hiding from the guards, she finds a secret entrance leading to the prison where Grieta is held and begins planning an escape. That evening, Liv asks David to accompany her for another meeting with Grieta. Taking advantage of being alone, Liv attacks the commander and ties him up. After seizing weapons, she helps Grieta escape. On their way out of the labyrinth, the Raven tribe member steals a weapon but returns it, honoring her word. Once away from the military base, Grieta suggests they abandon the plan to save Liv's family and instead join her, becoming part of their tribe. Trusting her rescuer, Grieta reveals how to infiltrate the fortress undetected. Immediately afterward, Liv fires a signal flare, revealing that everything was part of her plan. She had orchestrated a controlled escape to interrogate Grieta and gather critical information. Proud of her success, Liv and David make love on their return to the base. Meanwhile, at a factory, Keanu is considered lucky. He ended up in the packaging department instead of the mining floor. Here, the tribe produces a mysterious but highly valuable product they trade to acquire weapons and consolidate power. His foreman, a kind-hearted man named Linus, explains the rules of work and survival. Linus believes escape is pointless but describes the duels, where the winner earns the right to become a raven and join the tribe. Seeing this as his chance to survive, Keanu is ready to participate, but the participants are chosen personally by Lord Varvara. At one point, Linus accidentally drops some products, and the overseer beats him. Keanu intervenes and is also struck, but this strengthens their friendship. While lying on the floor, Keanu notices other slaves stealing products, and at night, he witnesses them smuggling goods to the overseer. He decides to report this to Varvara and asks Linus for help. Linus promises to arrange a meeting but instead lures him into a trap with the smugglers. In a desperate fight, Keanu defends himself and kills one of the attackers. When Varvara learns of this, he demands an explanation. Keanu tells him that the overseer is a thief and a traitor, but the man denies everything. Trusting his assistant over the slave, Lord Varvara orders Keanu to be publicly executed. Having served the army tribe well, Liv receives her uniform, gear, and weapons. Instead of picking an assault rifle or a standard gun, she chooses a crossbow, confident she can shoot more accurately with it than with any other weapon. A little later, David lays out a plan. The soldiers are to infiltrate the fortress through a secret entrance. They will split into two teams, one to evacuate Liv's family, the other to destroy the factory. The plan seems perfect, until it's revealed that one soldier is a traitor. He reports David's plans to higher authorities. Just minutes before the group sets out, a general, and David's father, arrives, sabotaging the mission and arresting his own son for violating orders and regulations. Meanwhile, Amina and Moses realize that the cube isn't simple and hides far more secrets, just like Ilya himself. They ask him about the cube's capabilities, but he knows nothing. The late pilot never shared any secrets. On top of that, the cube breaks again, and a replacement nuclear reactor is needed. The only person on Earth who has one is Bracker, but Moses is afraid to meet him, as he owes him a debt. Amina offers her precious belongings to set up a deal and buy the reactor. Both she and Moses feel for Ilya after learning that his entire tribe was wiped out by the crows. Moments later, an alarm goes off. The hunters have found them. Knowing they're low on bullets and can't win, Amina stays behind to hold off the attackers, while Moses and Ilya escape. In a field, they encounter a terrified family who fled the Altai region. The family warns that a black swarm is advancing from the east, destroying everything and everyone in its path. It's soon expected to reach Europe, killing indiscriminately, a thought that deeply worries Moses. The next morning, Moses and Ilya reach the city and head to a nightclub to meet Bracker. Negotiations are tough. The man proves extremely stubborn. He has the nuclear reactor but suspects it won't be bought easily. When Ilya pulls the cube from his backpack, Bracker orders them thrown out, intent on seizing the valuable artifact for himself. Meanwhile, Keanu is prepared for execution, but just before it happens, Lord Varvara announces she found pouches of a precious substance in the stomach of a deceased enemy. Since Keanu told the truth, she grants him a pardon. She also orders the overseer to execute himself if he doesn't want the guards to kill not only him but his entire family. The overseer takes his own life, while Linus and another smuggler lose their heads for theft. As for Keanu, he's sent to Varvara's castle. Upon arrival, he discovers several other slaves there, each one a lover of Varvara. In the evening, Lord Varvara hosts a dinner, but Keanu refuses to act like the other slaves. He declines the food, speaks rudely, and openly defies her, which unnerves the other guests. The other lovers obediently fulfill every whim, whether crawling on all fours or eating from the floor. Keanu's boldness and audacity intrigue Varvara, and she chooses him to spend the night with her. She orders the guards to strip him and presses a knife to his throat, promising execution if she doesn't get satisfaction, leaving him with her until morning. The next evening, Varvara invites Keanu and another lover to a formal event. Keanu becomes more compliant, realizing that defiance could cost him his life. At the hall, filled with music and spectacle, he learns about Captain Yavar and sees that his own father serves as Yavar's personal slave. The festivities are soon interrupted by a duel to earn the title of Crow. A man and a woman fight with knives. One is carried off the battlefield feet first, while the other becomes a full member of the tribe. Later that night, Varvara summons Keanu and asks him to admit whether Jacob is his father. He denies it but confesses that the village was founded by his mother. The guards are ready to take him away, but Keanu deliberately stays, choosing to spend another night with the commanding woman. Some time later, Liv visits David in prison. According to protocol, the base is being shut down, and everyone is being transferred to the capital, where David will be executed as a traitor for disobeying orders. The only way to prevent this is to kill the general. David asks Liv to do it, since she's the only one who can get close enough. His loyal comrades also urge her to eliminate the general and give her a vial of poison to dissolve in the leader's drink. When Liv meets the general, she contemplates using the poison, but his words stop her. The old man claims that his soldiers don't start wars, they end them. He doesn't want conflict and suggests using the prisoner Grieta as a bargaining chip to save Liv's family. Realizing this will protect her loved ones, Liv spares the general and betrays David instead, then goes to his prison cell to say goodbye. The next morning, Keanu declares that he wants to become a raven and is willing to do anything to step into the ring. Lord Varvara decides to teach the cocky young man a lesson and challenges him to a fight. Keanu believes becoming a raven is all about courage and the willingness to kill, but Varvara knows that's not enough. To her, it's about being ready to die, and Keanu is terrified of death. She beats him severely, leaving multiple wounds, and tells him to forget it, reminding him that he'll always be her servant. That evening, Varvara is invited to dinner by Captain Yavar and brings Keanu along as her favorite. At the table, Yavar reports that the recovered plane is worthless. Varvara lost the cube, which could have killed her, but she's given one last chance to redeem herself. At the same time, she's denied the promotion she expected. Keanu seizes the opportunity to spend some private time with his father, but another of Varvara's lovers notices and begins blackmailing him. In the car, Keanu shows sympathy, which angers Varvara, and she slaps him. Feeling he deserves punishment, she skips spending the night with him and calls in the other lover instead. A few hours later, Varvara summons Keanu to her room, and he finds the corpse of a slave on her bed. She has brutally killed him and seems ready to do the same to Keanu, but instead, she challenges him to take responsibility. On the brink of death, Keanu is ready to drive a blade into his heart, but Varvara stops him at the last moment, declaring that he's now ready for the duel and has a chance to become one of them. Meanwhile, Ilya and Moses refuse to back down. Realizing that Bracker has brazenly taken the cube, they decide to steal it back. Moses creates a distraction for the guards while Ilya sneaks into the office. He manages to seize the cube, but Bracker and the guards were expecting this and have set a trap. Bracker could have killed them, but instead he allows Ilya to take the cube and demonstrate its powers. When Ilya activates the artifact, he reveals a dark, terrifying force moving from the east toward Europe, a force that will wipe out all life. He begs for the cube to be returned to him so he can continue his journey, find the Atlantean Ark, and prevent a new apocalypse. Once he has the cube, Moses decides to linger, wanting to spend time with an easygoing woman. Ilya sees an opportunity. He activates the cube's navigation and prepares to escape. Moments later, Raven hunters storm into the bar, killing everyone in their path. At the same time, the cube transforms into a powerful weapon. Instead of fleeing, Ilya turns back to save Moses and even Bracker. When he arrives at the bar, he sees Bracker wounded and bleeding, while Moses is being interrogated under the threat of death. Protecting the only person who became his friend, Ilya fires and kills one of the ravens, then orders the rest to surrender. The boy instills fear, but the cube loses power, leaving him defenseless, forcing Ilya and Moses to escape once again. Liv realizes she made a mistake and begins to regret it. Before leaving the base to head toward the enemy's lair, she informs David's protégés about a backup exit they can use to escape. She asks them to save their commander and sets out with the general, hoping they can trade Grieta for her family and bring peace to the continent. After only an hour on the road, the convoy stops due to a tree blocking a bridge. The soldiers carefully remove it and scan the area, wary of an ambush. The general reassures Liv, insisting that he will achieve peace and restore the old civilization at any cost, but to do so, they must strike a deal with the enemy. Soon, the column arrives at the Ravens checkpoint and arranges a meeting with the captain. Just when it seems the conflict is settling and things are improving, unknown snipers open fire, killing both soldiers and members of the Raven tribe. Terrified, Liv retreats, fearing for her life. Trying to save Grieta, she drags her into one of the ruined houses. Once the shooting stops and everyone else is dead, it's revealed that the strike team was led by the escaped David. He killed them all to frame the Ravens and start a war. David thirsts for blood and is ready to kill everyone. but decides to spare Liv and Gryada. Once his group leaves, Gryada dies, making Liv realize waiting for the ravens is pointless. With death looming, she joins the tribe of wild, warrior women known as the Femen. Meanwhile, Keanu prepares to become a raven. On the way to the duel, Varvara confesses that she was once a slave and waited 6 years for her own duel. During the fight, a massive opponent wounded her and nearly killed her, but showed her compassion. Ravens aren't allowed to show sympathy, so she killed him and became part of the tribe. Varvara doesn't hide her fondness for Keanu, kissing him and wishing him luck. Soon the fight begins, and Keanu faces the ultimate horror, his own father. The late slave revealed everything, and the captain forced father and son onto the ring, declaring that only one would leave alive. Moreover, if they refuse to fight, both will be executed. Understanding this, the father attacks his son, hoping to enrage him into killing him. Wounded, Keanu ends up stabbing his father, who literally jumps on his knife. Before dying, the man asks his son to find his brother and sister. Keanu is then given a new name, Tarok, and becomes a raven. He undergoes the initiation ritual, breathing a special gas that transforms him into the same monstrous warrior as the others. Moses is angry with Aaliyah but understands that the boy has lost everything. Not knowing whether his brother and sister are alive, he supports him through the difficult moment. The cube is nearly drained but can still function as a navigator, guiding them south. After 184 kilometers, they reach the coast, but find it completely deserted. They try to find the Atlanteans but fail. Frustrated, Ilya throws the cube into the water, but it hovers over the ocean. Immersed in water, the cube transforms into a massive structure. When its gates open, Moses and Ilya realize that in the future, the entire world is contained within this giant cube. It's a portal to meet the Atlanteans. Inside, they head underwater to meet people who have mastered advanced technologies. Can a world rising from catastrophe ever be built on trust, when all that remains from the past is hatred and a thirst for power? Share your thoughts in the comments down below, give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.